Hare Krishna. So we're continuing with the study session of Sarartha Darshini by Srila Vishvanatha Chakravarti Thakura, translated into English by His Holiness Bhanu Swami Maharaj. My humble obeisances to His Holiness Bhanu Swami Maharaj, His Holiness Jayapatak Swami Maharaj, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and all the Acharyas in the Sampradaya. My humble obeisances to all of you on Zoom, on YouTube, and on Facebook. Thank you so much. Okay. So we are now studying Canto 1, Chapter 2, Text 12. Tachradadhana munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya Pasyantyatmani chatmanam bhaktya shruta grihitaya. Translation: the seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service after hearing from Guru. Commentary. This verse describes the practice to realize the tattva. The sages, Munaya, the Gyanis cultivating contemplation, the yogis and the devotees see that Jnana of three forms by bhakti. Those see that Jnana of three types by bhakti. Those who conceive of Jnana as Brahman realize the Jiva as the Lord, Atmani. Those who conceive of Jnana as Brahman realize the Jiva as the Lord. Tattvam Asi, you Jiva are that, the Lord. Those who conceive of the Lord as Paramatma see through meditation the Lord in the heart, Atmanam, in their heart. Those who conceive the Bhagavan see Bhagavan, Atmanam, in the mind and also directly in front of them, and taste the sweetness of the Lord with their very eyes. The sages realize their form of the Lord by bhakti, which is first heard from the Guru, Shrute, and then practice Grihitaya. The word bhaktya is used with its conventional meaning, indicating hearing and chanting about the Supreme Lord Bhagavan. The worshippers of Brahman and Paramatma must also perform bhakti directed to Bhagavan in order to perfect their own sadhanas. Jnana and Vairagya mentioned in this verse are the two sadhanas from the Jnanis and Yogis only. For the devotee, these two arise from bhakti alone and indicate the loving nature of bhakti, because he loves the Lord and he strives to know the Lord and shows distaste for everything uh, else. Since separate cultivation for For the devotee, these two arise from bhakti alone and indicate the loving nature of bhakti, because he loves the Lord, he strives to know the Lord and shows distaste for everything else. Since separate cultivation of jnana and vairagya are forbidden in pure bhakti, tasman mad bhakti yuktasya yogino vaimad atmana na jnanam na cha vairagyam praya shreyo bhaved iha. Therefore, for a devotee engaged in my loving service with mind fixed on me, the cultivation of knowledge and renunciation is generally not the means of achieving the highest perfection within this world. Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 2nd canto, 3rd canto, 4th canto, 5th canto, 6th canto, 7th canto, 8th canto, 9th canto, 10th canto, 11th canto, 12th canto, 13th canto, 14th canto, 15th canto, 16th canto, 17th canto, 18th canto, 19th canto, 20th canto, 21st canto, 22nd canto, 23rd canto, 24th canto, 25th canto, 26th canto, 27th canto, 28th canto, 29th canto, 30th canto, 31st canto, 32nd canto, 33rd canto, 34th canto, 35th canto, 36th canto, 37th canto, 38th canto, 39th canto, 40th canto, 41st canto, 42nd canto, 43rd canto, 44th canto, 45th canto, 46th canto, 47th canto, 48th canto, 49th canto, 50th canto, 51st canto, 52 11, 20, 31. Or by mentioning jnana, vairagya, and bhakti, the verse can express the idea that the devotees can realize through bhakti all the three aspects of the Lord, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Some who have that particular faith, Tachraddhana, develop the desire to realize all the three forms. Then by bhakti, they can see all the three. Thus, the goals of the sadhanas of jnana. Or by mentioning jnana, vairagya, and bhakti, the verse can express the idea that the devotees can realize through bhakti all the three aspects of the Lord, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Some who have that particular faith, Tachraddhana, develop the desire to realize all the three forms. Then by bhakti, they can see all the three forms. Thus, the goals of the sadhanas of jnana and yoga for realizing Brahman and Paramatma can be accomplished only by bhakti. So, Tachraddhana munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya pashyantyatmani chatmanam bhaktya shrutagrihitaya. Translation. The seriously inquisitive student or sage, well equipped with knowledge and detachment, realizes that absolute truth by rendering devotional service after hearing from Guru. So, whoever is really serious to know about the Lord and do service to the Lord and attain the Lord, okay, is well equipped with knowledge and detachment. Because at the beginning of bhakti, we should not be too detached or too attached, okay, materially. So, too much of detachment will harden the heart, and too much of attachment will not give us any focus or interest in hearing or doing the activities of bhakti, okay. Okay, so if the person is very serious and has faith on the Supreme Lord, then he realizes with knowledge and detachment, he realizes the absolute truth. How? By doing devotional service, like hearing from Guru. Okay. Commentary. This verse describes the practice to realize the tattva. The sages, that is the jnanis, their contemplation, they are doing cultivating through contemplation, okay. And the yogis and the devotees see that jnana of three forms by bhakti. So the jnana is cultivating contemplation, that is, they're speculating. The yogis, that is the Ashtanga yogis and the devotees, see that jnana of three forms of bhakti. Those who conceive of jnana as Brahman realize the jiva as the Lord. So these people, they think like, jiva, when it is out of ignorance, it becomes the Lord. Okay, that's what is their realization. That's why they say tattvam asi. They say you, jiva, are that Lord. Okay, because when the ignorance is gone, the jiva becomes the Lord. That is their tattva. Those That's why they merge in the impersonal Brahman. Okay. Those who conceive of the Lord as Paramatma see through meditation the Lord in the heart, in their heart. So those people, like, some of them, like, they conceive of the Lord as Paramatma, means is the witness in the heart. Uh, those who conceive of Bhagavan see Bhagavan in the mind. Okay, and also directly in front of them, and taste the sweetness of the Lord with their very eyes. When they attain the stage of bhava, at that time they can see maximum three times, one or two or three times, they can see the Lord and they can taste the sweetness of the Lord. But in prema stage, they are with the Lord in the same loka and nearer to the Lord, okay, having the same similar form like the Lord. Of course, if they are in the gopi form, then they'll be in the gopi forms. If they're in the female form, okay. If it's a male form, they'll have the form just like Krishna. And the sages realize their form uh, of the Lord by bhakti. So devotees, they realize their form of the Lord by bhakti, which is first heard from the Guru and then practiced. So what is the main aspect in bhakti? It is hearing. Okay, the first thing, only when you start hearing from an authorized bona fide guru, then you start practicing, you start doing the sadhana, and then you attain the goal, the prema. Okay, the word bhaktya is used with its conventional meaning indicating hearing and chanting about the Supreme Lord Bhagavan. So, conventionally, this word devotee is used meaning like the person who's engaged in hearing and chanting about the Lord, his name, his fame, okay, his activities, all that. So, so this is what is the conventional meaning of bhaktya, because he's hearing and chanting about the Supreme Lord Bhagavan. The worshippers of Brahman and Paramatma must also perform bhakti directed to Bhagavan in order to perfect their own sadhanas. So there are the other two categories of people who are worshipping Brahman and Paramatma. They must also do bhakti to the Lord in order to perfect their own sadhanas, okay, to get even liberation, okay, either by impersonal liberation, or you do the Ashtanga yogis, like, even their liberation to for everything, you have to do bhakti. Jnana and Vairagya mentioned in this verse are the two sadhanas for the jnanis and yogis only. It's not for the devotees, okay? For the devotee, these two arise from bhakti alone and indicate the loving nature of bhakti, because he loves the Lord, he strives to know the Lord and shows distaste for everything else. Since separate cultivation of jnana and vairagya are forbidden in pure bhakti. So for a devotee, he's not
Hare
interested
Krishna
in
Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you for joining. So just now I started explaining. Okay, you continue listening. Okay. So
Sure Mataji.
as I told yesterday, like, there are three types of people, like, Gyanis who are aspiring for higher spiritual goals. These people are the karma yogis, of course, are different category. Now, these three people, Gyanis, yogis, Ashtanga yogis, and the bhaktas, the devotees. So these three categories of people, in that, those people who do bhakti to the Lord, they attain the Lord. Okay, they can see the Lord, they can touch the Lord. How they attain? They start the process of bhakti by first hearing from the Guru. Okay, then they follow, they do the sadhana like hearing, chanting, and other aspects of bhakti, and they attain the Lord. Whereas this jnanis and yogis, they are like, this jnanis, they think like, the jivas become the Lord. So they're thinking they are the Lord themselves. Okay. Finally, because when the jivas are out of ignorance, then they become the Lord. Tattvam asi. Okay. So that is their concept. So they have impersonal liberation. They merge into the effulgence of the Lord. This Paramatma, people who worshippers of Paramatma, the Ashtanga yogis, they they do this, all these eight processes of yoga. Okay. Yeah, they also attain liberation samadhi in the end. But these two categories of people, even to get their goal, like liberation, impersonal liberation, okay, they have to do bhakti to the Lord. Or without bhakti, they cannot attain their goal for jnanis and yogis. But for the devotees, they are independent, like, they don't have to depend on the processes of jnana and vairagya. They don't have to separately endeavor to get these qualities. Okay, they don't have to get into that jnana, that kind of speculative knowledge they need not acquire. And vairagya, they don't have to depend on doing so many austerities. You just do bhakti. Of course, the maximum austerities that we do is following ekadasi, then fasting on krishnashtami, then on Gaura Purnima. Like this only we do. We don't do too much of fasting and too much of giving up things like that. We don't suffer a lot like Vairagya, the austerities. That is not our goal. That is not our process also. Okay. So we need not endeavor like this Gyanis and for the Jnana and Vairagya. Okay. Automatically these come for the devotees. The devotees all endowed with knowledge. Okay. And then he also, this everything comes to him as a secondary result of bhakti. Okay. since separate cultivation of jnana and vairagya are forbidden in pure bhakti, because if you are going to be very much detached like this jnanis and the yogis, then you become, our heart becomes very hard. Okay, that is not nice, because in bhakti our hearts are softened. Okay, we are compassionate to to all the living beings. We are, the minute we start doing bhakti, all the subhada, one of the first aspects of the which the devotee gets, like, automatically when he does bhakti, subhada, all auspicious qualities come to the devotee. That's why all the people are getting attracted to the devotee, because he's got all auspicious qualities and is naturally compassionate to all the living beings. He doesn't hurt any living being. Like today, actually, with this reference, I would like to tell, like, Ratan Tata, a very wonderful industrialist. He passed away today. And like when I read this article in the mobile, it's just written, we had the industrialist person who never had any enemies. Of course, incidentally, somebody might have just attacked him or something, but even they also, knowing his character personally, they might like him, because he never endeavored to become the richest person, because his great grandfather and all, they were so rich, he could have easily been one of the richest in the world, but they were more interested in doing donating their properties, and even in their businesses they were aiming at the welfare of all classes of people. Like for example, that Tata, that car, like, the 1 lakh car, that all that, he was like, very sweet. He was not mainly focusing on making money, but interested in satisfying people. Such wonderful people, like, so only thing is, I was just thinking, if only he had some bhakti, it would have been so nice. What is the point in just having all wonderful material qualities? Okay, if only, if you have even little bit bhakti, that's very nice. But at least he was a wonderful person, like, So why I got into that is, uh, devotees naturally show compassion for all the living beings, and they get all the wonderful qualities. Okay, that's why all the people, we always get attracted to the great devotees, the pure devotees, because of the bhakti shakti in them. That is a natural thing. Like, whoever is completely pure in bhakti, all the jivas get attracted to those devotees. Okay, since separate cultivation of jnana and vairagya are forbidden in pure bhakti. Tasman mad bhakti yuktasya yogino vai mad atmana. See, this today, this Krishnan Prabhuji is held up somewhere, is in Adyar, like, the traffic is coming back, is traveling from there. So he's listening on YouTube. Okay. Since separate cultivation of jnana and vairagya are forbidden in pure bhakti. Tasman mad bhakti yuktasya yogino vai mad atmana na jnanam na cha vairagyam praya shreyo bhavediha. Therefore, for a devotee engaged in my loving service with mind fixed on me, the cultivation of knowledge and renunciation is generally not the means of achieving the highest perfection within this world. Srimad Bhagavatam 11, 20, 31. So, just a minute. So, for a devotee engaged in bhakti, okay, that is what is bhakti? It is loving service to the Lord, and of course, his associates and everything, devotees and everything. So, loving service with mind fixed on me. So, the mind is fixed on the Lord. Cultivation of knowledge and realization is generally not the means of achieving the highest perfection in this world. Here, cultivation of knowledge is jnana, the knowledge required for doing jnana. Okay, speculative knowledge. We are not interested in gaining that speculative knowledge. Not the knowledge, not the kind of knowledge. Okay, we need to develop that bhakti skill. Develop knowledge. And they should be, we need not really not means of achieving the highest perfection within this world. Or by mentioning jnana, vairagya, and bhakti, the verse can express the idea that the devotees can realize through bhakti all the three attributes He can also realize all the three, that is jnana, meditation, and that the three aspects of what Brahman, Paramatma, and Atma. Okay, they can realize all the three by doing bhakti. Some who have that particular faith, such as they can both the sadhanas of jnana and yoga for realizing Brahman and Paramatma can be accomplished only by bhakti. So you can realize all the three just by doing. Text 1, 12, 13. Kumbhe Dvija Shrestha. Can you, Kalpana Mataji, can you tell me when it's 7:25 and 7:30? I mean, 8 and 8, 7:55 and 8, Mataji?
Okay, sure, Mataji.
Because today I started at 7 o'clock. Okay.
Okay.
Text 1 to 13. Ataha pumbhir dvija shreshta varnashrama vibhagasha swanushthitasya dharmasya samsiddhir haritoshanam. Translation. O best of the Brahmanas, the complete perfection of dharma according to divisions of varnashrama by men is pleasing to the Lord. So it's telling, oh, best of the Brahmanas, the complete perfection of dharma according to the divisions of varnashrama by men is pleasing to the Lord. Commentary. Verse 1.2.8 has already stated that varnashrama duties, dharma svanushtita, or wasted endeavor. And even jnana and yoga, devoid of bhakti, or wasted endeavor. श्रेयः श्रितं भक्तिं उदस्यते विभो क्लिश्यन्ति ये केवलबोधा तेषाम् अथौ क्लेशः एव you is the best path for self-realization. Trouble and cannot get the same. One who simply speculates cannot engage. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14. Naishkaryam apyachyuta bhava varjitam. Na shobhate jnanam alam nirasjanam. Kutaha punaha shashvad abhadram ishvara. Na chantikam kartiyakami ak. Knowledge of self-realization, even if we well, if devoid of the interest in God, what then is the use of fruitive activities which are naturally very beginning and practiced by me? Yeah. Prepare धीरे O Almighty Lord, in the past many yogis in this world achieved the that ended and carrying such devotion. One and could easily surrender to you and achieve your supreme abode. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14:5. From this chapter, it has already been understood that only by pure bhakti, unmixed with karma, jnana, or yoga, the mind becomes satisfied. A doubt arises, is this not some worry in giving up jnana and yoga and in not doing nitya karmas? Is there not the calamity of great sin in omission of action and ending up in hell? This verse answers, though jnana and yoga have some attraction, they depend on getting their results by performance of bhakti. But bhakti gives its results without the assistance of jnana or yoga at all. Therefore, if one is not by bhakti, Dharma. The person who does not get for the most part perfection, even though he performs all the rules and regulations of karma, attains perfection directly through bhakti, even though he does not perform the karmas. This is understood from the Lord's own words. Yat karma bhir yat tapasa jnana vairagyatascha yogena dana dharmena shreyo bhir iti sarvam madbhakti yogena madbhakto labhate jasa swargapavargam madhama kataschid yadi vashyati. Everything that can be achieved by fruitive activities, penance, knowledge, detachment, mystic yoga, charity, religious duties, and all other means of perfecting life is easily achieved by my devotee through loving service unto me. If somehow or other my devotee desires promotion to heaven, liberation, or residence in my abode, he easily achieves such benedictions. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:20, 32 to 33. Thus, the idea that the devotee incurs sin by not performing karmas is discarded. If dharma is perfected by bhakti, will the performer of dharma still obtain the results of dharma? Yes. If one performs dharma with material desires, one will attain those desires. But if one performs dharma without material desires, one will not attain material results. Gopal Tapani Shruti. If one performs dharma with material desires, one will attain those desires. But if one performs dharma without material desires, one will not attain material results. Gopal Tapani Shruti says, Bhaktir asya bhajanam tad ihamutropadhi nairash nairasyenai va mushmin manakalpanam yetad evacha naishkarmyam. Bhakti is worship of the Lord, concentrating the mind on Him, renouncing all material desires for enjoyment in this world and the next. It destroys all one according to the following verse. Since all, okay, I'll read this above definition again. Bhakti is worship of the Lord, concentrating the mind on Him, renouncing all material desires for enjoyment in this world and the next. It destroys all karma. According to the following verse, since all karmas are perfect in the necessity of the duties performing dharma is rejected. Yatha taror mula nishechanena सिद्ध्यन्ति तत्स्कन्धा बुधोपशङ्खा प्राणोपहाराच्च यथेन्द्रियाणां तथैव सर्वाहनम् अच्छतेज्य. As pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of God into true devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of that Supreme Personality. Srimad Bhagavatam 4:31-14. The Lord Himself says, Tavat karmani kurvitana nirvidyeta yavata mat katha shravanada va shraddha yavanna jayate. As long as one is not satiated by and does not awaken this taste for devotional service by Shravana Kirtanam Vishnu, one has to act according to the regulative principles of the Vedic injunction. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:29. 11:29. Agna yaivam gunan doshan maya dishtan api swakan dharman santyajya yas sarvan mam bhajet satu sattama. Having taken complete shelter at my lotus feet, however, a saintly person ultimately renounces such ordinary religious duties and worships me alone. He is thus considered to be the best among of the all living entities. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:11.32. And in the Gita, the Lord says, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam praja. Give up all dharma and just surrender all to me. Bhagavad Gita 18:56. Based on these verses, the meaning of the verse Yatha Taror Taror Mula Nishe Chanena is as follows. Just as worship of the Lord takes the place of worshipping all devatas, and satisfaction of the Lord is the perfection of performance of varnashrama, the duties. When the Lord is satisfied with his worship, the goal of performing one's duties, including worship of devatas, is automatically achieved. I'll repeat this sentence. Just as worship of the Lord takes the place of worshipping all devatas, and satisfaction of the Lord is the perfection of performance of varnashrama duties, when the Lord is satisfied with his worship, the goal of performing one's duties, including worship of devatas, is automatically achieved. In the example, by watering the root of the tree, the watering of the branches and leaves takes place automatically. When the pure devotees of Bengal or other places perform a few karmas out of obligation because of pressure from family tradition, this is actually not performance of karma, that does not give karmic results because they do not have faith in the worship of devatas. The Lord says, Ashraddhaya Krudam Dattam, Tapastaptam Kritam Chayat, Asad Ityuchyate Partha, Nacha Tad Vedya Noha Iha. O son of Pritha, whatever is offered in the fire, whatever is given in charity, whatever is undertaken as austerity, but which is done without faith is called asad, since it bears no result now or in the next life. Bhagavad Gita 1.7.28. It's a beautiful verse. Okay, since I already read, I would like to give the gist of this. Translation: O best of the Brahmanas, the complete perfection of dharma according to divisions of varnashrama by men is pleasing the Lord. So, what is the thing? So, in the we saw in verse 1.2.8, okay, that varnashrama duties are wasted endeavor. Okay. And even jnana and yoga without bhakti is also wasted endeavor. So the perfect thing to do is do bhakti to the Lord. So that by this, the complete perfection of dharma, even according to the divisions of varnashrama by men, is pleasing to the Lord. Okay. So you don't have to do anything like varnashrama, you don't have to do jnana or yoga. You just do bhakti to the Lord. And if the Lord is pleased, then everybody is pleased. Okay. Just like when you water the root of a tree, all the parts of the tree are nourished and all of everything is satisfied. Separately water all the other parts of the tree. So you don't have to cultivate all speculative knowledge and the troublesome processes. And if you do all that also, you will not achieve the desired result. But if you like simply the example given here, feet, what will happen when your feet is out? When only the nothing is there, okay? Like that. It is an accident. One who simply speculates cannot achieve self-realization. His only gain is trouble. Okay, so jnana also, if you simply go on speculating, you're not going to achieve anything. If even for attaining the results of jnana, you need to do some bhakti. Similarly, even for Ashtanga yogis also, they simply cannot achieve the result unless they do some bhakti, okay, to the Lord. Only then they attain their result also, their goal also. That's it. So you keep on doing all your prescribed duties, okay, but you will not achieve any gain unless you do devotional service to the Lord, like hearing and chanting, okay? O infallible one, and could easily surrender to achieve your spirit. So if that's bhakti, like hearing and chanting, then they can the Lord and they can easily uh, surrender to the Lord, and then they can attain the supreme abode of the Lord. So from this chapter, it's already been understood that only pure bhakti, which is not mixed with karma, jnana, or yoga, the mind becomes satisfied. Okay. Now the one doubt is arising. What is that doubt? Suppose, is that not some worry in giving up jnana and yoga? There is it okay if we just give up jnana and yoga and only do bhakti? And is it anything wrong if we don't do our nitya karmas? Is there not the calamity? Will it become a great sin if we are not doing this nitya naimitika karmas? No, there is no problem at all. Many people, even in the devotees, they are worried, like, "Ayo, I didn't do the Shraddha ceremony. If I don't do the Shraddha ceremony, then I might incur some sin." Like that, many, even so people, many devotees who are there for many years also, they have not developed the complete faith in bhakti. They are thinking like, if I don't do all this karmas, okay, Shraddha ceremonies and all these things, then I will incur sin. So let me do it, like that. They're thinking. Okay, but not needed. If you just do bhakti, all the things, all the pitras are all satisfied automatically. Worship the Lord, all the devatas are satisfied. You don't have to worship any devata separately, independent of the Lord. And okay. So, but of course, like there's another thing given here. They depend on getting the results by performance of bhakti. Okay. But bhakti gives us, I hope all of you are able to understand what I'm telling. But bhakti gives us, if you have any doubt,
Yes, Mataji.
if any doubt means you can ask me. But bhakti gives its results without the assistance of jnana or vairagya at all. See, jnana and vairagya, they're dependent on bhakti. Okay. But for bhakti, it is independent of any other process. You simply have to do bhakti. You don't have to get the assistance of jnana or yoga. Therefore, if one pleases the Lord by bhakti only, that is the perfection of dharma. Okay. The person who does not get for the most part perfection, even though he performs all the rules and regulations of karma, attains perfection directly through bhakti, even though he does not perform the karmas. Okay, so if one is doing all the karmas perfectly, still he might not get the result. But if he does bhakti and he doesn't do the karmas also, no problem. He will get the perfect result. Okay.
Rightly said.
So now, everything that can be achieved by fruitive activities, penance, like knowledge, that is the jnana knowledge, the what the jnana is, no, that speculative knowledge, detachment, mystic yoga, charity, dana dharmas, they do not religious duties, and all of the means of perfecting life is easily achieved by my devotee through loving service onto me, him onto me. So we need not do any other separate processes at all. We just have to do bhakti to the Lord, and all these things are satisfied automatically. If somehow or other my devotee, sometimes the devotee is doing pure bhakti, but suddenly he might have a desire for swarga, or he might desire liberation, or he might want to be, means liberation means to get out of this material world to be with the Lord. Okay. Or residence in my abode. Okay, this is abode. Sometimes he might also by mistake want to have some liberation, like that. And he might also want to be with the Lord. Usually pure devotee will not desire any of this. Okay. But sometimes what happens, some occasionally if a devotee desires this, okay, no problem, he will easily achieve these benedictions. Okay. He doesn't have to independently aim for those processes. Automatically, just by doing bhakti, by just once in a while, if he desires these things, he will automatically get it only by bhakti itself. Thus, the idea that the devotee incurs sin by not performing karmas is discarded. So, if at all any devotees or anybody comes and asks you, what will happen if I don't do all these ceremonies? But if like only if they only do bhakti enough, okay, you can explain to them. You can give this reference as well. Okay. So, if dharma is perfected by bhakti, will the performer of dharma still obtain the results of dharma? Yes, if one performs dharma with material desires, one will attain those desires. So if they're doing bhakti and they want like a mixed bhakti, like they want some material results, will they get the results? Of course, they will get the results. One will attain those results. But if one performs dharma without material desires, one will not attain material results. So if one is doing the karma kanda, those things and all, those duties and all, and they are doing it without desires. Okay, but if one performs dharma without material desires, one will not attain material desires. So here dharma is, you can take as the Sanatana dharma. If you take like that, okay, it's perfected. If dharma is perfected by bhakti, okay, what is the dharma of the jiva? Its natural state is to be the servant of the Lord, is the eternal servant of the Lord. That is the real dharma. So let's talk in that aspect. If dharma is perfected by bhakti, will the performer of dharma still obtain the results of dharma? Yes. If one performs dharma with material results, one will attain those desires. Okay. But if one performs dharma without material desires, one will not attain material results. So here we can take like, karmic karma, okay, karma kind of activities. If you do that without material desires, then you will not attain material results. Because only with bhakti, even for the karma also to get your results, you need to have a certain amount of bhakti. Okay. Bhakti asya, okay. Bhakti is worship of the Lord. So what they're trying to say in general is, without bhakti, you cannot attain anything at all, whether karma, results of karma, jnana or yoga. Okay. Bhakti is, but if you're doing bhakti and if you just by mistake, once in a while, you're desiring some material things, you will get it because of the bhakti aspect. Okay. But usually the devotees will not, uh, are not interested in this mixed bhakti. Okay. Bhakti is worship of the Lord, concentrating the mind on Him, renouncing all material desires for enjoyment in this world, and then next it destroys all karmas. Gopal Tapni Upanishad 1.15. So it says Bhakti is worship of the Lord, concentrating the mind on the Lord, renouncing all material desires for enjoyment in this world and the next. So he's not having any desire for material things, either in this world when he's living now or for the future time. Okay. So it destroys all karmas. So when you're doing pure bhakti, it destroys all karmas. According to the following verse, since all dharmas are perfected by bhakti, the necessity of the devotee performing dharma is rejected. So here, all the dharmas are perfected by bhakti. Okay. You don't have to do a, so the necessity of the devotees performing dharma is rejected. So we don't have to follow any other dharma other than bhakti. Okay. Yeah, as pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the trunk, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and the limbs of the body, simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through bhakti automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of that Supreme Personality. Srimad Bhagavatam 4.31.14. So, as I already told, we clearly through they are taking us gradually through these steps and explaining that we don't have to worship anybody, any demigod, okay, we just have to worship the Lord. You don't have to do any specific karmic activities to satisfy any demigods also. Okay, just like when we pour water on the root of a tree, it energizes the trunk, branch, twigs, and everything else. And as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body. We don't have to feed every part of the body. Okay, just have to feed the stomach, and the stomach nourishes all the parts, all the limbs of the body. Simply worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through bhakti automatically satisfies the demigods, okay, because they're parts and parcels of the Lord, okay. The Lord Himself says, as long as one is not satisfied by fruitive activity and does not awaken his taste for devotional service by Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, one has to act according to the regulative principles of Vedic injunctions, Srimad Bhagavatam 11.20.9. So, the Lord Himself says, if you are not satiated by fruitive activity, still people are wanting more and more and more, like, they are doing so much of karmas to attain more wealth or to have kids or to attain something material. Okay. For them, one is not satiated by fruitive activity, still is in those modes. Okay. And has not awakened his taste for devotional service. Okay, he's still not got that faith and is not having the mood to do bhakti because he's still entangled in his desire for fruitive activities. Okay, he wants some more, some more, some more, some more material things. So this guy is not developed the taste for devotional service by hearing, chanting, and Vishnu Smaranam, like meditating on the Lord, and all the other activities, archanas. Okay, all the nine um, the methods of bhakti, Navavidha bhakti. So all these things he will not have taste to do. So that kind of a person, okay, he has to act according to the regulative principles of the Vedic injunctions. That is, he has to follow the Varnashrama Dharma. Otherwise, there'll be total confusion. If he's not doing bhakti, then he will be totally immoral. If he's not following the Varnashrama Dharma, then what will happen to the entire society? What will happen to the entire humanity? They'll be totally collapsed. Okay, so some regulations should be there. So if they're not doing bhakti, if they're doing bhakti, they need not follow the Varnashrama Dharma. They can just do the whatever the principles that are in bhakti. Simple, they can do that. They don't have to follow the principles and rules of Varnashrama Dharma. But if he's not doing bhakti, then he should at least follow Varnashrama Dharma, because in Western countries,
Sorry to disturb, 7:50, Mataji.
Mataji, thank you. So 10 more minutes I have. So at 8 o'clock again, remind me, Mataji. So before that, if I stop, it's okay. So
Sure.
so if one is not doing bhakti, then one should at least do the Varnashrama Dharma, so that he has to follow some principles. Okay. So having taken complete shelter at my lotus feet, however, a saintly person ultimately renounces such ordinary religious duties and worships me alone. Okay. So whoever has got complete faith in the Lord and surrendered to the Lord, he will renounce all ordinary religious duties, whatever is there in the Varnashrama Dharma, and he will worship only the Lord. He is thus considered to be the best among all living entities. Okay. And in the Gita, the Lord says, give up all dharma and just surrender to me. Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam raja. Bhagavad Gita 18.66. Based on these verses, the meaning of the verse yato taror mula nishechana nena is as follows. Just as worship of the Lord takes the place of worshipping all devatas, and satisfaction of the Lord is perfection of performance of Varnashrama duties, when the Lord is satisfied with his worship, the goal of performing one's duties, including worship of devatas, is automatically achieved. So those people who are having developed faith in the Lord, okay, take those people, they need not worship any devatas. And the satisfaction of the Lord is the perfection of performance of Varnashrama duties. Okay, so if they satisfy the Lord, then that's a perfection of performance of Varnashrama duties. We don't have to do those duties separately. So when the Lord is satisfied with his worship, the goal of performing one's duties, including worship of devatas, is automatically achieved. We don't have to do that separately. In the example, already the watering of the root of the tree, the watering of the branches and leaves takes place automatically. So when the pure devotees of Bengal or other places, they perform few karmas out of obligation because of pressure from the family members, okay, and the traditions. Usually, even we are devotees, sometimes we do certain Shraddha ceremonies or certain ceremonies only for satisfying the family members, okay. We are not having any belief in those traditions, okay. So this is actually not performance of karma, because the person who's doing is not having any faith in those karmic activities. So because they do not have faith in the worship of devatas, the Lord says, so because he's doing it just out of obligation, not out of his own interest or faith, okay. The Lord says, "Oh son of Prita, whatever is offered in the fire." So because of that reason, they're not incurring any sin. Okay, it's not that they want to do; it's only because of satisfying the family members they're doing, or satisfying the society they're doing. So they're not incurring any sin. Okay. So no, that is they're not incurring any karmic results. Okay, because they do not have faith in the worship of devdas. The Lord says, "O son of Prita, whatever is offered in the fire, whatever is given in charity, whatever is undertaken as austerity, but which is done without faith, is called asat, since it bears no result now or in the next life." Bhagavad Gita 17.28. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, is addressing him as Prita. Oh, no, he's addressing him as the son of Prita, okay, because he's the son of Kunti Devi. Okay, so he's addressing Arjuna as the son of Prita. Whatever is offered in the fire, whatever is given in charity, whatever is undertaken as austerity, but which is done without faith, is called asat. Okay, you do all these things without faith, then it's asat. And since it bears no result now or in the next life, what is a real thing? Truth? Sat is to worship the Supreme Lord with love. Okay, bhakti. Only that is perfect. Okay. So I hope it's very clear and a wonderful verse. Thank you so much. Any doubts, I'll clarify. Otherwise, I'll close. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare, Hare.